This video will help you learn how to write effective body paragraphs for your research report so that you can apply them to your second draft of the research report, which is going to be due on Thursday, March 26th. So we're going to start here on your home page, and we're going to go into Module 3. And just scroll down to the bottom here of Module 3, and you can see homework for Tuesday, March 24th. We're going to click on that. And you'll see some instructions here, okay? So you're going to download this document, and we're going to go over the instructions now in this video, but I want you to go over them again. And you're going to kind of do a highlighting exercise on the 4 example paragraphs that are in this document. So you're going to use the computer mouse. I'll show you how to do that, and the highlighter tool to find topic sentences, highlighting them in green, in-text citations, highlighting them in pink, evidence that comes from a source in blue, aqua blue, and then concluding sentences in yellow. Then you're going to save your document that you've made your changes to. You don't need to do anything but highlight, and upload the document and post it here. Okay, so let's click, and then we get this document here. All right, so we remember that all body paragraphs have the same 3 elements that make up a body paragraph. It has a topic sentence. It has relevant information, okay, or we might think of supporting details. In this case, we call it evidence, okay, supporting details. The type of supporting details are evidence because we're writing a research report. So remember that kind of thing is going to matter with the genre. And we're going to add a concluding sentence that helps the audience understand the implications of the information, okay? Remember, paragraphs only have 1 topic sentence, okay? Remember, your topic sentence just gives an idea of what the paragraph is about. So what am I going to say about this particular topic? Okay, the first time you introduce a source, you must give a full documentation using its title, author's full name, original source, and main idea. That's just like you did when you wrote your summaries, okay? This is its documentation. Because I took out the requirement that your research report have a works cited page, you don't need to do a works cited page anymore. You do need to include full documentation for all of your sources the first time you use it. So every time you use source from evidence from a source, you have to use a signal phrase to give it credit. Evidence has to be specific and relevant for your audience. Remember, you're writing to a potential NOVA student who's wondering about how to be successful at NOVA. Don't make up information or use your opinion. You always want to use relevant sources. Paragraph length, you want to look at that. A really long paragraph can indicate that maybe you have maybe irrelevant details, or more likely you have 2 topics that are squished together in 1 paragraph. Remember, each time you change a topic, you want to change paragraphs. If your paragraph is really short, you're probably missing some information, or you might be missing some elements, like you might be missing a topic sentence. You might not have enough evidence in that paragraph, or you might be missing a concluding sentence, or some kind of combination of all of those. All right, so let's see. Paragraphs only have 1 concluding sentence, and it should be pretty specific, and it should connect back to the importance of that information, should connect back to the topic sentence to explain why that idea that you mentioned in your topic sentence was important. And then make sure that the last sentence is actually a concluding sentence. A lot of times students end on evidence, and that's a no-no because you're leaving the evidence to speak for itself. You really have to take control of that and explain to your reader why it's important. Okay, so we're going to practice this, and I've done a couple of practice assignments on students' papers. So this is a student paper. This is Jane Smith's paper, and she did a good job on making sure that she was really following the directions on the prompt. So I see an introduction, a body paragraph using Dweck, a body paragraph using a Psych Central article, a body paragraph using Willingham, and a body paragraph using a University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill article. Remember, you have to use Willingham, you have to use Dweck. Those are requirements, and you have to use just two of the two articles or the two sources that are listed in module number 3 for the student skills. Okay, so let's look at, I went ahead and did some highlighting just to save time. And if you look here, this paragraph, which should have green, pink, blue, and yellow, only has pink and blue. So what does that tell me? Well, it tells me that Jane did a nice job of using in-text citations for her huge documentation sentence, which is very good. So I want you guys to pay attention to that and use it maybe as an example. And really good at signal phrasing. Each one of her sentences has an excellent signal phrase. She also has plenty of blue. Look, most of your paragraph should be blue. Okay, that means you're using enough evidence from sources. Okay. And so she did a really nice job of that. So you can kind of read through and see the kinds of evidence she's using from Dweck. But what am I missing? I don't have a topic sentence. I don't have anything that Jane wrote that indicates what the main idea of this paragraph is. And I don't have a concluding sentence that tells me why these pieces of information are important. And if you look through the rest of Jane's paper, you'll see exactly the same thing. She's always starting with kind of an introduction of the source. It's the dead giveaway saying that she doesn't have topic sentences. So Jane needs to work on that. Okay, let's look at a different sample from another student in our class. This is John. Okay, so let's look down here at this paragraph. Now this paragraph, you can see some cool things. You can see, one, that he has all 4 colors, doesn't he? He has some other colors in here, and we'll talk about those in a second. But he has a clear topic sentence, okay? This is clearly a sentence John wrote that indicates the topic and the main idea of his paper. So the topic is motivation, and the main idea is that a growth mindset can help students become motivated. Okay, then he has 2 sources, a little bit from Dweck to give some context. I love that. And then he introduces the North Carolina at Chapel Hill source. Okay, this needs a little work because I noticed that John forgot to say that this article comes from the Learning Center website. Remember, University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill is the author. And it fails to mention the name of the source. So I don't get the name of the article. So I think this is the motivation article that I posted here from UNCCH. Okay, so he has a little bit of work to do there, but it's coming along. It's there. We see that for the most part, John is using good, solid signal phrasing. And I see 1, 2, 3 good pieces of information from the UNCCH article. So, and these are all relevant to the reader, okay? I also see a really good ending sentence that explains how a growth mindset, right, which is part of the topic sentence, the main idea of motivation and growth mindset. I see how John is saying that this is a good thing, increasing productivity and making the individual feel better, right? So those are 2 good things. Wouldn't you like that? So that's a really good concluding sentence. Let's look at the red pieces now, okay? So I see that John has used a banned pronoun. Nobody's allowed to use second person pronouns. That's you, your, yours. And you're definitely not supposed to use verb contractions. So that's you have. So you're not supposed to use those verb contractions. So you always want to say you have. Well, you don't want to say you at all. So instead of you, he should use students, they, their, or them. Okay, those are the correct pronouns. So start with students, and then you can say they, their, or them to match with students. Okay. The other thing that I'm noticing here is this nasty little comma splice. Okay. A comma splice is when you take two sentences. So this is a sentence all the way to growth mindset, and this is a separate sentence. Okay, remember, commas separate, they don't connect. So he can fix this by just using a little coordinating conjunction here, and then that is now okay. Oops, I did that wrong thing, sorry. So now that is correct. So no more comma splice. Okay, so just be very careful on looking at that. I hope this has been helpful. Just remember, you are getting to this worksheet, which you'll be using to highlight these paragraphs. These are all from Jane Smith's and John Smith's papers, okay? And in some cases, I've fixed them a little bit, okay? So you'll be using that, okay? You're going to then save your changes and then upload that by Tuesday at 11:59 p.m.